How's it going, everyone? Wow, it just feels like ages since I've actually said that. Feels kind of weird. I haven't really been modding, coding, doing the things I used to do for quite some time. Let's just say things got really hectic and I found myself in a space where I just felt I need a change. Like, I'm at a point where I need some self-growth. There's projects that I've always wanted to do, but I keep putting them off, I keep procrastinating, I keep waiting for that perfect moment. But it seems that perfect moment never seems to really come by. And then also waiting for motivation. Someone really close to me taught me that motivation is fickle. It comes and it goes, and it's not something you can really rely on. And I saw about this challenge randomly, the 100 days of code, and I thought this could be something exciting. It's basically a challenge that you set for yourself to give yourself a bit of accountability, and in this challenge you need a code. So anything that you can do that could just help advance you in that is something that you can tackle. And I decided, you know what, I've always had this course on Free Code Camp, this amazing free website that basically teaches you from the basics to the advanced stuff of a lot of web development, a lot of programming, getting into the mindset of how those things work. And it's always fascinated me because I used to come from the IT sector. And one day I just decided, you know, I wanted something different. I wanted something where it could be a challenge. And I've always loved problem solving. I always used to be that person that people would come to and just share how they're feeling, and I would just be able to use logic and be like, you know what, you can try this, you can try that. It's just been something I've always been good at. And I remember back in 2015, I was modding Skyrim, and I couldn't get a few mods to work. It needed a bit more of a push in a sense, mod merging and all that. And as I uncovered and dug through the mod files, I realized, hey, this could be something I could do. And I spent the next probably 3 months driving myself crazy trying to just understand how this works and why. And I've never had experience I've never been, exposed to a programming language at all before. I mean, I knew a bit about HTML and CSS, the basics here and there. I know how those things worked. But Papyrus, God, I have a love-hate relationship with that language. It was just something I never expected. And I've always been the type of person that doesn't give up. I feel that if you can just keep pushing through and not giving up, eventually you're going to get to the point where you can achieve success. And yeah, unfortunately for me it took a bit longer than I wanted to, but I got there. And shortly after that I released my very first mod on the Nexus mods, and thereafter another one followed, and I was pretty excited. Then unfortunately I devoted my time and energy to other aspects, hoping that was, going to give me a return, I guess. That never ended up happening, and I felt I was slowly slipping and losing myself, I guess, the core parts of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be in life. And I guess that's why we're here today. I feel it's a brand new month. May not be the 1st of January, but it is the 1st of April. And no, this is not an April Fool's joke. And I just decided I want to change. So in we come with the 100 Days of Code Challenge. And that's where we're going to begin today. So this is day 1. This is me trying to take back my life, bring myself a sense of purpose, learn some new skills along the way, and maybe make a friend or two. We'll see how that goes, but I'm really loving this community so far. It seems to be very active, a lot of people doing it, a lot of people sharing amazing success stories. And yeah, so let's jump straight into it. So we're on the Free Code Camp website. We are doing the HTML curriculum. Back to basics. And just a forewarning, I have no actual experience, like official experience, when it comes to web development or programming of that sort. Like, I know my way around things, but the rest of it is pretty much self-taught, so I'm pretty excited as to see how far we can get in this. So what do we have? Welcome to Free Code Camp's HTML coding challenges. These will walk you through web development step by step. First, you'll start by building a simple web page using HTML. You can edit code in your code editor, which is embedded into this web page. So over here, do you see the code in your code editor? It says, yep, it definitely does say hello. Most HTML elements have an opening tag and a closing tag. Opening tags look like this, and closing tags look like this. The only difference between opening and closing tags is the / after the opening bracket of a closing tag. Each challenge has tests you can run at any time by clicking the Run Tests button. When you pass all tests, you'll be prompted to submit your solution and go to the next coding challenge. To pass the test on this challenge, change your H1 element's text to say, "Hello World." Okay, that should be pretty straightforward, hopefully. Okay, so we've got hello in here. So we needed to say hello world. It says hello world. It's so cool. This is the one thing that I've always loved about Free Code Camp. I checked it out also around 2015, very briefly. And just the fact that you could actually visually work on something. I've always been a visual learner and an active learner in that sense rather, and having to read and watch videos just doesn't do it for me as much as the interactive approach. And just this, being able to physically do something and actually seeing a change, and it's amazing. Anyway, let's run through this. Let's run our tests. That should be fine. You're on fire! Cool. Okay, so next step. Add a H2 tag that says cat photo app to create a second HTML element below your hello world H1 element. Okay, so we're going to do an H2 cat photo app. I'm so used to auto closing as well. That should be it, right? Create an H2 element, make sure your H2 element has a closing tag, your H2 element should have the text cat photo app, your H1 element should have the text hello world, which should be good. And there we are. It's nice and easy. You wouldn't want me failing on the very first or second challenge. So what do we need to do here? Create a P, so a paragraph element below your H2 element and give it the text hello paragraph. Let's go ahead and do that. Paragraph. Oops. Oh no, auto-completes. Nice. Okay, that's something new that they've added. It's pretty exciting. So that should be it. Sweet! Okay, now, what do we need to do here? Web developers traditionally use lorem ipsum text as a placeholder text. Ah yes, my favorite. And then you get the cat ipsum as well, the kitty ipsum. Oh, beautiful. Replace the text inside your paragraph element with the first few words of this kitty ipsum text. Okay, so we just need kitty. Your P element should contain the first few words of the provided. So just the first few words, so just random. Okay. That should be it. And there we are. Pretty straightforward. And now we've got comments. Uncomment HTML. Commenting is a way that you can leave comments for other developers within your code without affecting the resulting output that is displayed to the end user. Commenting is also a convenient way to make code inactive without having to delete it entirely. Comments in HTML start and end with that specific block. Okay, so we need to uncomment our h1, h2, and paragraph elements. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward because it's blocked. That should be it. Is that all? Yeah. So we learned about commenting. Exciting stuff. Remember that in order to start a comment you need to use, and to end a comment you need to use. Here you'll need to end the comment before your h2 element begins. Comment out your h1 element so it's not visible on your page. Okay. Leave your h2 element uncommented so that it's only visible on your page. Okay. So we can do that. Comment out your paragraph element so that it's not visible on your page. Okay. Do not change the order of the h1, h2 or paragraph in the card. Okay. So that should be the requirement. Nailed it. God. Okay, basic HTML and HTML5 delete HTML elements. Our phone doesn't have much vertical space. Let's remove the unnecessary elements so we can start building our cat photo app. We need to delete our h1 element. Okay, so we can just literally do that. Leave your h2 element on the page. Cool. Leave your paragraph element on the page. Okay, that should be it. Sweet. Basic HTML and HTML5 introductions to HTML5 elements. HTML5 introduces more descriptive HTML tags. These include header, footer, nav, video, article, section, and others. Ah, yes, that's the exciting stuff that I was never really around for. Now we're going to get to it. So we need to create a second paragraph element after the existing paragraph element. Okay. With the following Kitty Ipsum text. Okay. Cool. Wrap the paragraphs with an opening and closing main tag. Okay. I'm assuming we can just go main. Huh, this is new. Well, that should be it. Nope. Should have two oh, okay, never mind. They should both be part of the main. Okay, didn't read that second part. Wait, the main element should have two paragraph elements as children. Oh, you need two P elements. We already have that. The main element... That's confusing. Do you want me to just stick it before the previous one? Sorry, my mind today. Started a little bit late, but we're gonna push through this. Or simple enough. Basic HTML and HTML5. Add images to your website. Exciting stuff! So what do we need to do here? Insert an image tag before the h2 element. Before it and as part of the main? I'm assuming it should be part of the main. It doesn't specify, but we'll add it to the main anyway. So we're gonna go image. We're just gonna copy this. Cool. Insert an image tag before the h2. We've done that. Set the source attribute so that it points to this URL. Okay. There you go. And then don't forget to give your image an alternative text. Doesn't specify. So we're just going to say a kitty photo. That's awful. Don't do that for SEO. I think that's good. Yep. Link to external pages with anchor elements. Okay, so we need to create an anchor element that links to and has cat photos as its anchor text. As part of the image? Or just in general? Are we gonna like hyperlink the photo? Guess we're gonna have it afterwards? Your element should have anchor text. Okay, I get that. That needs to link to it. Make sure your element has a closing tag. Okay, I get you. Let's add it afterwards, I guess, eh? Let us get free cat photo. And then you want the anchor text to be cat photos. Ew. Okay. It's not even underlined, but it doesn't specify we should add it like as part of a paragraph or whatever, so why not? If it works, right? Link to internal sections of a page with anchor elements. Change your external link to an internal link by changing the href attribute to footer and the text from cat photos to jump to the bottom. Remove the target blank attribute from the anchor tag since this causes the link document to open in a new window tab. That it does. That I remember at least. So you want us to remove that, and you want us to change the external link to an internal link to hashtag footer. Okay, there should be only one anchor tag on your page. Okay, there's only one. Should be only one footer tag. Yep. Tag should have an href to, yep. The tag should not have a target, yep. The a text should be jump to bottom. Wait, was I supposed to replace that now? Oh. Let's just hope so. Jump to bottom. The footer tag should have an ID attribute set to footer. Oh. So ID. There we go. So that's going to jump to footer. That should be it. Whew. Slightly more complicated. Nest an anchor element within a paragraph. You can nest links within other text elements. Let's break down the example. Normal text is wrapped in the paragraph element. So what would you like us to do? You need an A element that links to free cat photo app. Okay, don't we have one? Do you need a separate one? Now nest your existing element within a new P element just after the existing main element. Okay. So you want us to create a paragraph and should have text that says view more cat photos. Okay. Cat photos is a link. So I guess we can just take this. Oh, we could have just... silly me. Okay, hold on. Let's remove cat photos because it's pretty much already there. Let's see what they're trying to do. So view more cat photos. Okay. And the rest of the text is plain text. That's exactly what we've done. There should be at least 3 total P tags in your HTML code. Wait, what? Your A element should be nested within your new P element. We've done that. Your P element should have the text view more with a space after it. There's a space? Yeah. There's your A element should not have the text view more. Okay, it doesn't. Make sure each of your P elements has a closing tag. Yeah, that's done. Make sure each of your A elements has a closing tag. Yeah, it does, but I'm confused with the 3. Where does it say we need 3? Doesn't mention anything. It says there should be at least 3 total P tags in your HTML code. I guess we just gotta make 3? That's random. Why? It all just works in one. Let's just test it and see what happens. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It just doesn't make logical sense to make 3 paragraph tags. Weird. Anyway, we got that. Make dead links using the hash symbol. Sometimes you want to add elements to your website before you know where they will link. This is also handy when you're changing the behavior of a link using JavaScript, which we'll learn about later. I can't wait. Like, that's the main reason that I'm doing this, is for JavaScript. But I feel I need to start from the beginning. And since I'm doing the whole curriculum, I thought I might as well do the web design aspect, even though I'm not that interested in it. It's good to do, and the JavaScript and object-oriented programming is really what I want to get into. Your A element should be a dead link with the value of href attribute set to hashtag. Cool, it's the A element. Okay, this is our A element. We're just going to change this. There we go. Perfect. Turn an image into a link. Yes, we just wrap it around with A tags. Nest the existing image element within an A tag. Do we have an existing one? We don't, so we're just gonna go like that. Make sure each of your A elements has a closing tag. Do we have a link? A element should be a dead link. Okay. Like that. And then we just gotta close it off. There we go. Link the kitty. Create a bulleted unordered list. Back in the MySpace days, or wherever else we used to use this. Remove the last 2 P elements and create an unordered list of 3 things that cats love at the bottom of the page. So remove the last 2 P elements. So 1, 2, okay, remove them. Create an unordered list, okay, of things that cats love. Now you're asking me to think and code? Okay, you should have at least... What do cats love? Naps? What do cats love? Scratches? I'm a dog person, don't judge me. One more. What do cats love? I swear I could really use the input of you guys. Naps, scratches. Tuna! They love tuna, right? Or is that just like a stereotype? The tabulation on this. I think I went a bit too far, but that should be it. Sweet! Create an ordered list. And things are slightly more different. Create an ordered list of the top 3 things cats hate the most. You should have an ordered list for top 3 things cats hate. I keep wanting to say cat. Just a singular cat. Okay, I got this. Humans. Don't lie to us. They want to enslave us. Water? Even though that's not really true, and I know cats that love water, but generally they dislike water, so I'm just gonna stick that in there. What else? What do cats hate? Humans? Water? This really has you thinking. Like, I expect to be struggling on like a piece of code that I have to debug, not thinking of things that cats hate. Okay. Birds calling them names, right? Cats hate that. Good to go. Create a text field. Now let's create a web form. Input elements are a convenient way to get input from your user. You can create a text input like this. Note that input elements are self-closing. That's cool, so we don't have to close them off. At some point in time they weren't, if I remember correctly, and that was like recently added. Now when I say recent, I mean like a couple of years now, with the advent of HTML5. Create an input element of type text below your lists. So over here, we're going to go input, type. So we're literally just going to copy what we have. Okay, that's it. Cool. Placeholder text is what is displayed in your input element before your user has inputted anything. Set the placeholder value of your text input to cat photo URL. So placeholder, this is placeholder. Oh wait, hold on. I'm just like looking at the other one now. Cat photo URL. The finished input element should have valid syntax. Seems valid enough. Okay, create a form element. You can build web forms that actually submit data to a server using nothing more than pure HTML. Nest your text field inside a form. Okay, so we're going to do form, action. Oh, could have auto-completed, that's nice. And the action is submit cat photo. So we're just going to nest it. And I guess we can just indent that a bit, make it look pretty. Make sure your format has a well-formed interesting choice of words. Add a submit button to a form. Okay, this button submits the form. Add a button as the last element of your form. So right over here. We're just going to do button, type. We want to add a submit, right? Yeah. So button type is submit. And what is the text? Submit as the only text. That should be it. Use HTML5 to require a field. Make your text input a required field so that your user can't submit the form without completing the field. Does this actually do anything? Oops. I just broke it. Huh. Maybe it should fix itself. Hopefully. Your text input element, so this one, should have the required, okay? So we just literally add required, that's all. Cool. Create a set of radio buttons. There's a radio button. It is considered best practice to set a for attribute on the label element with a value that matches the value of the ID attribute of the input element. This allows assistive technologies to create a linked relationship between the label and the child input element. For example, label for indoor, input ID. Ah, that's smart. That's pretty cool. So you're basically telling it what it's for. That's new and exciting. Your page should have 2 radio button elements. Okay, add a pair of radio to your form, each has its own label element. One should have the option of indoor and the other should have the option of outdoor. Both should share the name attribute of indoor outdoor, create a radio group. Okay, so first of all they need to be in its own label. So we're going to start with label for, and this one's going to be, we're going to do indoor. Okay. Then we're gonna do input ID. And we're gonna name this one because it's gonna be obviously indoor, so it has to match. And we are making radio button, so type radio name. They said the name should be the same. Both should share the name attributes of indoor, outdoor. And then this one will be indoor. Give it a bit of space. That word looks weird to me now when I read indoor. Oh, when you look at a word too much. Do we want the spacing? Doesn't really matter. Okay, then we could just do some copy pasta. And then label for outdoor. Just change the in to out. Indoor, outdoor, and change this to outdoor. And that should technically cover us. Should have two, it has two. Give the name indoor, outdoor. Yep. They should be nested in their own label elements. Yep, they are. Make sure each of your label elements has a closing tag. One of your radio buttons should be indoor, outdoor. Each of your radio should be added within the form tag. Yep, that should be it. Sweet. Create a set of checkboxes. Add to your form a set of 3 checkboxes. Each checkbox should be nested within its own label element. All 3 should share the name attribute of personality. Let's do it before the submit button. I don't think we did the previous one before the submit button. My bad. You want us to have 3 so label 4. So we're gonna do one that's like caring. Or you can do it all inline, that'll be much easier. I guess I like to have my code on multiple lines. Easier to read, but I mean we can do it. So we're gonna do this as caring, type, checkbox, name. They need to share the name of personality. Caring. Then we're going to do another one. We're just going to copy and paste this now. So some attributes. Caring, kind. Generally like a synonym for it, but why not? Caring, kind, loyal, or like honest. That's a big one for me. Caring, kind, honest. There we go. There's a picture of a cat. Is it a caring, kind, and honest cat? Perfect. Check radio buttons and checkboxes by default. I'm guessing you just have like a default. Your first radio button on your form should be checked by default. So the very first one being this one. So all we do is literally add the checked keyword. Okay. And your first checkbox, so this one, should be checked. Okay. Perfect. Nest many elements within a single div element. Nest your things cats love and things cat hate lists, all within a single div element. Okay. So we can div it up over here. There we go. That should be it. Getting some order and structure into this. Declare the doc type of an HTML document. The challenges so far have covered specific HTML elements and their uses. However, there are a few elements that give overall structure to your page and should be included in every HTML document. At the top of your document, you need to tell the browser which version of HTML your page is using. HTML is an evolving language and is updated regularly. Most major browsers support the latest specification, which is HTML5. However, older web pages may use previous versions of the language, like 4.1, 3.1. I remember that. You tell the browser this information by adding the doctype tag on the first line, where the ... part is the version of HTML. For HTML5, you use doctype HTML. The exclamation and uppercase doctype is important, especially for older browsers. The HTML is not case sensitive. Next, the rest of your HTML code needs to be wrapped in HTML tags. The opening HTML goes directly below the doctype HTML line, and the closing HTML tag goes at the end. Here's an example of the page structure. Cool. So add doctype. Okay. HTML. Cool. There should be one HTML element. Cool. The HTML tag should wrap around one H1 element. Let's do the classic hello world again, and then we close it up again. And then we should be good. Define the head and body of an HTML document. Ends up being exciting. Metadata elements such as link, meta, title, and style typically go inside the head element. Here's an example of a page's layout. Edit the markup so there's a head and a body. The head element should only include the title, and the body element should only include the H1 and P tag. Cool, so we're gonna add head, and then we need body over here, and we need to close the body off. Should be it. Nope. The head element should wrap around the title. Oh, I didn't. Silly me. Did not close that tag. That's on me though. Wow, so we're done with that. We're going to do the basic CSS, cascading style sheets. CSS for short. Tells the browser how to display the text and other content that you write in HTML. Note that CSS is case sensitive, so be careful with your capitalization. CSS has been adopted by all major browsers and allows you to control color, fonts, positioning, spacing, sizing, decorations, as well as transitions. In this section, you'll see how adding CSS styles to the elements of your cat photo app can change it from simple text to something more. Ooh, there's a lot. Let's do it. Change the color of text. Now let's change the color of some of our text. We can do this by changing the style of your H2 element. The property that is responsible for the color of an element's text is the color style property. Change your H2 element style so that its text color is red. Okay, so we can do style. It's always going to mess me up with color, because like British spelling of color, which I'm used to. I wonder if they encounter, or I've changed that. There we go. Your style declaration should end with a semicolon, which it does. Wonderful. Use CSS selectors to style elements. With CSS, there are hundreds of CSS properties that you can use to change the way an element looks on your page. Note that it's important to have both opening and closing curly braces around each element's style rules. Delete your H2 element's style attribute. Right, because we don't want to do it that way. And instead create a CSS style block. Add the necessary CSS to turn all H2 elements blue. I could do this technically at the end, as I've always seen. So let's just go style. And then we're going to do H2. Let all H2s be what color? Blue. And then we're going to end it off like that. And then close off our tag. Should be it. Marvelous. Use a CSS class to style an element. Okay. Let's check something quickly. It's amazing. It feels nice to actually be able to do something for a change, and now I feel like I'm getting somewhere. Because now we're going to style a class, and what do we actually have to do here? So inside your style element, which is all the way up here, we need to change the H2 selector to red text. Okay. Instead of that, we're going to do red text, and then give your H2 element the class attribute with a value of red text. So we're going to do class red text. And then do you want to change blue to red? Yeah, and there we go. And then that should be that. Wonderful! I wonder if we're going to be able to get through the CSS still tonight. We should be able to. So your H2 element should be red. Oh god, they're going red. No! The poor cats, what have they done? So your H2 element should be red. It is currently red. Your H2 element should have the class red text. It does. Your first P element should be red, our very first one. We should be able to use our existing one, because red text is just a selector, so we should technically just be able to go class red text and alternate red. There we go. So your first P element should be red. That's that. Oh, hold on. My bad. That is not the first P tag. That is the first P tag. Your second and third P elements should not be red. They are not. Your first P element should have the class red text. It does. Already one step ahead of you. Yay! Change the font size of an element. Okay, so inside the same style tag that contains your red text, right? Create an entry for P elements and set the font size to 16 pixels. Okay, so P, and we're going to say font size 16 pixels. That should be it, right? I think so. That should be it. There we go. So for those of you still joining, welcome. This is day one of the 100-day code challenge, and what we're basically going to be doing is challenging ourselves to learn something new, code, each day for the next 100 days. And the reason I've chosen this is to just bring some semblance of order, because I feel that's been missing in my life. I've just been running around like a chicken without its head, and I guess in a way this allows me to hold myself accountable. Because if I miss a day, well, you know, I'm gonna have to keep a log and you guys are gonna know about it, and I don't know, I like challenges and overcoming them, and this is something I've been putting off for so long, since 2015, like 4 years. I've always wanted to do this, and I feel so excited that I'm actually going to be able to do it, and actually be able to share this experience. So if there's anyone that drops by, you don't understand what's going on, you want me to explain something, or you just want to discuss things, go for it. I'm more than happy to. This is going to be quite the long journey. Okay, so make all of your P elements use the monospace font. So we're going to add font type. I remember that. Oh wait, that's not font type, it's font family. Clearly don't remember it. Monotype. Okay. Why am I bad at reading this? It's not monotype, it's monospace. Thank you. Where did I get monotype from? Okay, import a Google font. Exciting! Create a font family CSS rule that uses the lobster font and ensure that it will be applied to your H2 element. Okay, so we need to create H2 and then we need to say font family. We need to import it. So we need to add this to the we need to paste this at the top of our code. Usually it would be part of the head section, but we're just going to chuck it there for now. And then I should be able to just import the family name, which is lobster, and generic name is optional. It's a fallback, so we might... Do we have a fallback here? For example, you need quotes to use but not to use lobster. Ah, interesting. If there's no space in its name. Okay, so import the lobster font. We've done that. Do we have a... We have a fallback. We don't have a fallback, so we're just going to leave it like this then, I guess, because they didn't really tell us what we need to do. That looks badass! Wow! It's amazing how fonts change things. So that should be it. We've imported the lobster font. It's the H2 tags are using the lobster font. Use an H2 CSS selector to change the font. We've done that. Okay, cool. We're good. Wonderful. Specify how font should degrade. Oh, now this finally explains that. Always wondered why there's like multiple. So if this is not available, fall back to this. So when one font isn't available, you can tell the browser to degrade, so that's the technical term, to another font. For example, if you wanted an element to use Helvetica font but degrade to the sans serif font when Helvetica wasn't available, you will specify it as follows. Wow, that finally makes sense. Generic font families names are not case sensitive. Also, they do not need quotes because they are CSS keywords. To begin, apply the monospace font to the H2 element. Okay, so that now has two fonts, lobster and monospace. Okay, is that going to be the fallback, I guess? So monospace is over there, cool. In the last challenge you imported the lobster font using the link tag. Now comment out that import of the lobster font. Okay, so we need to comment it out. How do we... It was... What was that? Yeah. Okay, so your H2... Okay, why are we importing it? And exporting? Notice how your H2 elements degrades to the monospace. Yeah, it did. Ah, that's amazing. So H2 elements should use the font lobster. Your H2 element should degrade to the font monospace when lobster is not available. Yep, comment out your call to Google. Yep, be sure to close your comments. Okay, cool, done. Okay, so size your images. For example, if we wanted to create a CSS class called larger image that gave HTML elements a width of 500 pixels, we'd use... there's a width that controls an element's width. Just like fonts, we use pixels to specify the image's width. Create a class called smaller image and use it to resize the image so that it's only 100 pixels wide. Okay, so... smaller image, and then we're going to say width. It should be only 100 pixels wide. Your image element should have the class smaller image. So image class smaller image. Perfect. Add borders around your elements. CSS borders have properties like style, color, and width. For example, if we wanted to create a red, okay, so create a class called thick green border. Okay. It's a bit random, but I guess it makes sense. You kind of know what it is from the start. This class should add a 10 pixel solid green border around an HTML element. Okay, so you want it to be border color. You said it should be green. Then border width should be 10 pixels. And border style should be solid. Okay, the border around your image element. So our image element is this one. So we're just gonna merge the class and just add thick green border to it. There we go. I just love how you can just keep adding classes to it. I guess they're gonna explain later on, hopefully, the difference in order. If the order in which you is the right term to use, call the classes matters. Guess I can always test that for myself. Add rounded corners with border radius. This challenge allows for multiple possible solutions. For example, you may add a border radius to either the thick green border class or the smaller image class. Okay, so we could just do it in whichever way. Give your cat photo a border radius of 10 pixels. I think I'm rather going to do it to the smaller image. So we're going to do border radius 10 pixels. There we go. Make circular images with a border radius. Give your cat photo a border radius of 50%. Okay, be sure to use a percentage value of 50%. So we could just apply that to an existing class, right? So we could just probably do it here. Border radius 50%. That should work. Wonderful. Give a background color to a div element. If you wanted to use an element's background color to be green, you'd put this within your style element. Green background, background color green. Create a class called silver background with the background color of silver. Assign this class to your div element. Let's do it. So we want to call it silver background. Okay, and we want the background color to be silver, and then we want to assign this class to your div element over here. Whoops. Oh wow, fancy. Set the ID of an element. In addition to classes, each HTML element can also have an ID attribute. There are several benefits to using ID attributes. You can use an ID to style a single element, and later you'll learn that you can use them to select and modify specific elements with JavaScript. Although you can also select them with classes, but I mean, I guess it makes it easy. ID attributes should be unique. Browsers won't enforce this, but it is a widely agreed upon best practice. So please don't give more than one element the same ID attribute. Here's an example of how you give your H2 element the ID of cat photo app. Okay, so give your form element the ID cat photo form. So the form, where are you form? There you are. So let's do ID cat photo form. And there we are. We can proceed. Use an ID attribute to style an element. One cool thing about ID attributes is that, like classes, you can style them using CSS. Here's an example of how you can take your element with the ID attribute of cat photo element and give it the background color of green in your style element. Try giving your form, which now has the ID attribute of cat photo form, a green background. So we can basically do cat photo form background color green. That should be it, I assume. Should be all we need. Wonderful. Adjust the padding of an element. Now let's put our cat photo app away for a little while. No! And learn about styling HTML. You may have already noticed this, but all HTML elements are essentially little rectangles. Yeah, kind of. 3 important properties control the space that surrounds each HTML element: padding, margin, and border. An element's padding controls the amount of space between the element's content and its border. Here we can see the blue box and the red box are nested within the yellow box. Note that the red box has more padding than the blue box. When you increase the blue box's padding, it will increase the distance, the padding, between the text and the border around it. Interesting. So the margin, so that's yellow box, and that just has a padding, and then red box and blue box are inside it, but they both have paddings. So if we change this to 50, okay. So that's just the size of how big it is in general. And if we had to make the yellow box, oh. Because it's a div as well, because that's like the whole border that it surrounds. That's so cool. Okay, your blue box class should give elements 20 pixels of padding. So let's go ahead and do that. Here we are. Adjust the margin of an element. An element's margin controls the amount of space between an element's border and surrounding elements. Here we can see that the blue box and the red box are nested within the yellow box. Note that the red box has a bigger margin than the blue box, making it appear smaller. Right. When you increase the blue box's margin, it will also increase the distance between its border and surrounding elements. Change the margin of the blue box to match that of the red box. Okay, so first let's see what the margin does visually. Ah, and that's for the red box. But the difference between that and padding . Wait, hold on, what was I changing now? So I was changing, oh, the margin. Okay, so that does that. And if I change the padding, oh, that changes the actual size of the item. The margin changes how far it is. Okay, fair enough. So change the blue to be the same. Perfect. Add a negative margin to an element. An element's margin controls the amount of space between an element's border and surrounding elements. If you set an element's margin to a negative value, the element will grow larger. Try to set the margin to a negative value like the one for the red box. Change the margin of the blue box to negative 15 so it fills the entire horizontal width of the yellow box around it. Okay, so what happens if we do negative 20 in padding? Okay, that physically changes. So padding is almost like up and down. I don't want to say that. There we go. Ah, negative 15. There we go. Add different padding to each side of an element. Sometimes you'll want to customize an element so that it has a different amount of padding on each of its sides. CSS allows you to control the padding of all 4 individual sides of an element with the padding top, padding right, padding bottom, and padding left properties. Give the blue box a padding of 40 pixels on its top and left side, but only 20 pixels on its bottom and right side. Okay, so blue box should have padding top should be 40 pixels, okay. Padding right should be 20 pixels, okay. Padding bottom should be 20 pixels, and padding left. Oh, and it makes sense because in the order in which you go it's top, right, bottom, left. So you go in like clockwise. I didn't realize that up till now. That's smart, the way that you do that. And so padding left should be 40 pixels. I wasn't even watching how I was doing that. That's so cool. So without all of this, what did we essentially do? We padded it out. So if this was only like 10 pixels, that'd make it really thin. Fair enough. And that's why it's a bit off center when we do that. And if we wanted it perfectly like in the middle, we'd do padding 40. Yeah. Cool. That should be it. I'm loving this, honestly. And we've just hit our hour mark, so we've basically achieved day 1, but I feel I'm gonna keep going, still have the time, and see how far we can get. It'd be nice if we can get through the CSS section at least. Give the blue box a margin of 40 pixels on its top and left side, but only 20 pixels on its bottom and right side. So the blue box, we're doing this again. And this is for margin. So margin top. We're just going to be a bit smart and just like copy this because it's just like writing out the code and the selectors. So top should be 40, right should be 20, bottom should be 20, and left should be 40. Let's check that out. It checks out. Use clockwise notation to specify the padding of an element. Instead of specifying an element's padding top, padding right, padding... Oh! That's the order! I never knew! Like, honestly, because obviously I did like basic HTML back in the day, and I never knew the order in which they're in. I was always like guessing which one does what. So it's like, I figured out it's clockwise. So it's top right, bottom left. Amazing. Use clockwise notation to give the blue box class a padding of 40 pixels on its top and left side, but only 28 on its bottom and right side. So we're going to do padding. So you want 40 on the top and left. So it's going to be 40 on the top, 20 on bottom and right. So right needs to be 20, bottom needs to be 20. Oh, we don't do commas in this one. 40, 20, 20, 40. Clockwise notation to specify the margin of the element. So exactly the same. And what do you want our numbers to be? Top element should be 40. Right should be 20. Bottom should be 20. And left should be 40. Go. Use attribute selectors to style elements. For this challenge, you'll use attribute equal to value attribute selector to style the checkboxes in Cat Photo app. This selector matches and styles elements with a specific attribute value. For example, the below code changes the margins of all elements with the attribute type and corresponding value of radio. That is so cool. So attribute value, so type radio. Using the type attribute selector, try to give the checkboxes, I like how they say try, you're gonna fail! Try to give the checkboxes in Cat Photo app a top margin of 10 pixels and a bottom margin of 15 pixels. They don't have faith in us. We need to have faith in ourselves, guys. So let's do it. I feel we can do it. Okay, so we need a new one. So we're gonna do type, whoops, wrong one. Type, checkbox. It is checkbox, yeah. Type checkbox. And we're gonna say the top margins should be 10 pixel. Bottom margin should be 15. So we're just doing top and bottom. Oh, and you specify 0 when you want to do it that way. So the top should be 10. 0 for the right. 15 pixels for the bottom. And 0 for the left. Oh, you don't have to use pixels. So that should be it. Understand absolute versus relative units. Yes! Never got this. I know it exists. Now we can. The last several challenges all set an element's margins or padding with pixels. Pixels are a type of length unit, which is what tells the browser how to size or space an item. In addition to pixels, CSS has a number of different length unit options that you can use. The two main types of length units are absolute and relative. Absolute units tied to physical units of length, for example inches, millimeters, refer to inches and millimeters, respectively. Absolute length units approximate the actual measurement on a screen, but there are some differences depending on a screen's resolution. A common issue. Relative units such as m or rem are relative to another length value. For example, m is based on the size of an element's font. If you use it to set the font size property itself, it's relative to the parent's font size. M is based on the size of an element's font. If you use it to set the font size property, it is relevant to the parent font size. Okay. There are several relative options that are tied to the size of the viewport. They are covered in Responsive Web Design Principles section. Add a padding property to the element with class redbox and set it to 1.5 m. So we're going to do padding 1.5 m. Doesn't go into depth though. I know it like explains the size of the viewport, but it would still be nice to know why we'd use m over pixels. So that's 1.5 m, and if I did 1.5 pixels, it would be like interesting. M is based on the size of an element's font. If you use it to set the font size property itself, it's relevant to the parent's font size. That's pretty cool. It'd just be nice to know why we're doing it. I mean, yeah, they're telling us. Because pixels are a type of length unit, which is what tells the browser how to size or space an item. That we know. But then we have absolute. Relative units such as m are relative to another length value. Okay. I think I got that one. Style the HTML body element. We can prove that body element exists here by giving it a background color of black. We could do this by adding the following to our style element. Oh. Talk about CSS inheritance. Every HTML page has a body element. Okay, just has one by default. So we could do body, background color. What if I want it to be purple? Fine. I'll do it black. Make sure your CSS rule is properly formatted with both opening and closing curly brackets. Yep, that's all good. CSS inheritance. But they don't really go into in depth there as to how that works. Inherit styles from the body element. Now we've proven that every HTML page has a body element. and that its body element can also be styled with CSS. Remember, you can style your body element just like any other HTML element, and all your other elements will inherit your body element styles. First, create a h1 element with the text hello world. Okay. So we're going to do that. Then let's give all elements on your page the color of green by adding color green to your body element style declaration. Okay. Finally, ooh, that looks nice. Give your body element the font family of monospace by adding font family monospace to your body element style declaration. So we're going to do font family monospace. There we are. Kind of looks like something out of the Matrix now, eh? Something akin to our channel style and design. So we've done that. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done. Flawless victory! Prioritize one style over another. Sometimes your HTML elements will receive multiple styles that conflict with one another. I think you can resolve that by doing, what was it, like important? It's one trick I always used to do. It's so bad. Just if I wanted to stick. For example, your h1 element can't be both green and pink at the same time. Oh yes, it can. Don't tell me it can't. Let's see what happens when we create a class that makes text pink, then apply it to an element. Will our class override the body element's color green CSS property? Create a class called pink text. Okay. Pink text, yes. Color pink. Cool. Give your h1 element the class of pink text. Oh, it changed it! So you can override by prioritizing. Huh. Interesting. Wait, is this only because of the order it's in? Or is it specifically because I added the class? Like, no, that shouldn't matter, that's stupid. I'm just gonna test because, you know, paranoid. Not that I thought it would change anything, and it doesn't. Okay. So because body, that's styling every single element, and then this is a specific match, and because of that we're overriding. Okay, that's cool. That's pretty sweet. Okay, so what are we doing next? Override styles in subsequent CSS. Our pink text class overrode our body element CSS declaration. Oh no! We just proved that our classes will override the body element CSS. So the next logical question is, what can we do to override our pink text class? Create an additional CSS class called blue text. Okay. Right, and you want us to give the color of blue, don't you? Yep. Make sure it's below your pink text class declaration. Yep. Apply the blue text class to your h1 element in addition to your pink text. Blue text. Oh, I changed it. Let's see which one wins. Applying multiple class attributes to an HTML element is done with a space between them like this. It doesn't matter which order the classes are listed in the HTML element. However, the order of the class declarations in the style section are what is important. Oh, so I was right. So if I had to literally change this around like this, pink would still win. Amazing. I had no idea it was sensitive like that, because the previous way, second declaration will always take precedence over the first, because blue text is declared second, of course, so it's almost like compiling it at runtime. That's so interesting. Override class declarations by styling ID attributes. We just proved that browsers read CSS from top to bottom. That means that in the event of a conflict, the browser will use whichever CSS declaration came last. But we're not done yet. There are other ways that you can override CSS. Do you remember ID attributes? Let's override your pink text and blue text classes and make your h1 element orange by giving the h1 element an ID and then styling that ID. Give your H1 element the ID attribute of orange text. Do we even have orange text? We don't. So let's go orange text. And we're going to say color orange. And then we are going to give it an ID of orange text. Ha! That is so cool. So IDs are always going to take priority over classes, and classes are always going to take priority over inheritance. And then of course the order in which you do them is important. Wow. It doesn't matter whether you declare the CSS above or below ping text class, since ID attributes will always take precedence. Yes, exactly what I said. That's cool. And then I assume it's going to work the exact same way of order in which we have IDs declared as well. And it shouldn't matter that I declare ID before or after class. I think it's pretty much the same. It will read them, right? Yeah. So it doesn't matter in which order. Override class declarations with inline style, sorry. Yes. The annoying thing that you shouldn't do, because then you can't freaking override them with CSS. Oh, the amount of times that's happened, I've actually had to go in and edit themes because of it. Use an inline style to try and make our H1 element white. Remember, inline style looks like this. So we're going to do style, color, white. Leave the blue text and pink text classes. Wow, okay. So inline is always going to override everything. That's like your be all and end all. And then you obviously have important, which I don't know if they're going to go through, but we'll see where that goes. Here it comes. I was waiting for this. Yay! We just proved that inline styles will override all the CSS declarations in your style element. But wait, there's one last way to override CSS. This is the most powerful method of all. But before we do it, let's talk about why you would ever want to override CSS. In many situations you will use CSS libraries. These may accidentally override your own CSS. So when you absolutely need to be sure that an element has specific CSS, you can use important. And you need to shout it out, important! Let's go all the way back to our pink text class declaration. Remember that our pink text class was overridden by subsequent class declarations, ID declarations, and inline styles. Let's add the keyword important to your pink text element's color declaration to make 100% sure that your H1 element will be pink. What happens if we have two important declarations? And it worked. Wow. What happens if we have two of them? I'm curious now. Will it? It doesn't specify. No! It's just something that we're just gonna have to deal with, right? If you have two importants, I guess it's gonna be the last important one that will override. It just makes logical sense. It reads top to bottom. Did you know that there are other ways to represent colors in CSS? One of these ways is called hexadecimal code, or hex code for short. We usually use decimals, or base 10 numbers, which use symbols 0 to 9 for each digit. Hexadecimals, or hex, are base 16 numbers. This means it uses 16 distinct symbols. Like decimals, the symbols 0 to 9 represent the values 0 to 9, then A, B, C, D, E, F represent the values 10 to 15. Altogether, 0 to F can represent a digit in a hexadecimal, giving us 16 total possible values. You can find more information about hexadecimal numbers here. In CSS, we can use 6 hexadecimal digits to represent colors, 2 each for red, green, and blue components, so RGB. That's so cool. You know, now that I've thought about it, I've never actually thought about that. I always knew about hex code, and I knew, you know, you can get a color picker and figure that out. But I didn't realize that it's in that order. The first two control red, the second two green and blue. Like, just knowing that, you can kind of like in your mind tweak it. So if you wanted blue, I guess 99 in the second slot should give you like pure blue, shouldn't it? 009900, would it? What do I know? I know that all 0 is black. That's devoid of all color. Which brings to argument why people say black isn't a color. Okay, I don't think it's that simple, because then you have the mix of them, don't you? A bit of red, a bit of blue gives you like, that's like what, orange? It's been a while since I did like mixed paint or whatever. But that's cool. Replace the word black in our body element's background color with its hex code. Representation of 6 zeros. And technically you can short form it to just 3 if they all contain the same characters, if I remember correctly. But we're gonna do it this way. There we go. Use hex code to mix colors. To review, hex codes use 6 hexadecimal digits to represent colors, 2 each for red, green, and blue components. From these 3 pure colors, red, green, and blue, we can vary the amounts of each to create over 16 million other colors. For example, orange is pure red mixed with some green and no blue. Alright. In hex code, this translates to being FF-A500. So it wasn't as simple as I thought it would be. So FF being the highest, that's 15. So it goes to 0 to 15 in hex. Because 0 to 9, then A is 10, F is 15, right? So 15, then A5. A is 10 and 5. That's confusing. Wait, F itself is 15, so it's 15, 15, so it's 30. A5 is 15. No, A is 10. Yes, and 5, so 15. Wonder why you couldn't have just done F0. The digit 0 is the lowest number in hex code and represents a complete absence of color. The digit F is the highest number in hex code and represents the maximum possible brightness. Ah. Replace the color words in our style element with the correct hex codes. So I want to test something. So what if we... So their one example was FF-A5, right? Now my logic was if A5 is 15, why can't we just do F0? Why is it different? Because it's the brightness? If it's 2 digits, the first 2 digits control... Unless I have to give something else. Is it the brightness and the color? Because A, 0 versus A5. A10? Oh, you can't do A10. A1, A5, A9. It's not changing anything. Oh, A0 does. Or maybe it's so subtle that I can't see it. But okay, red text would be... Okay, so red is FF, so that's maximum brightness in red. The first one's red, so it's red, green, blue. So red, red, blue, green, green, blue, blue. So FF, that means you want no color in any of them, you want pure red. That makes sense. So then green text is a combination of... no, it's not combination, sorry, it's pure. So it's gonna again be nothing in red, pure green, nothing in blue. Then Dodger blue, whatever that is. It's freaking random. People just like mixed up the virtual kind of paint mixing going on. And then orange text is a combination of red and green. So it's going to be FF-A500. There we go. So that should be all we need. Oh god. Use abbreviated hex code. That's what I was talking about. Many people feel overwhelmed by the possibilities of more than 16 million colors, and it's difficult to remember hex code. Fortunately, you can shorten it. For example, red's hex is FF0000, which can be shortened to F00. This shortened form gives 1 digit for red, 1 digit for green, and 1 digit for blue. This reduces the total number of possible colors to around 4,000, but if you're going to be using pure colors, or like basic monotone colors, I guess it kind of works, right? But browsers will interpret FF0000 as F00 as exactly the same color. Go ahead, try using the abbreviated hex codes to color the correct elements. So red text is going to be F00, fuchsia is going to be F0F. Why? Because it's max brightness in red, max brightness in blue. That's how you make fuchsia. Huh. I wonder if this is like exactly done as an art in science. So if you took the exact amount of red paint in real life and the exact amount of blue paint in real life and you mixed it, are you actually going to get fuchsia? And then I guess as a science they were like, okay, right, 0 to 15 is the brightness level. Cyan is 0FF, so a bit of green, a bit of blue. And then green text we know is 0F0. Wait, what? That should be, yeah, it is 0F0. Just doubting myself there for a moment. Sweet! Use RGB values to color elements. Another way you can represent colors in CSS is by using RGB values. Oh, so that gives you a scale of 0 to 255 if I remember correctly. So the RGB value for black looks like this, 000, yeah. The RGB value for white looks like this, 255, 255, 255, so max brightness in all. Instead of using 6 hexadecimal digits like you do with hex code, with RGB you specify the brightness of each color with a number between 0 and 255. If you do the math, the 2 digits for one color equals 16 times 16, which gives us 256 total values. So RGB, which starts counting from 0, has the exact same number of possible values as hex. Here's an example of how you change the body background to orange using its RGB code. Interesting. And I guess you could just tweak that to get like the desired amount. If you do 255, because 255, yeah, I was going to say divide by 16, it was around 15 or whatever. Let's replace the hex code in our body element's background color with RGB value for black. So instead of doing that, we're going to do RGB 000. Bodacious! Use RGB to mix colors. Just like with the hex code, you can mix colors in RGB by using combinations of different values. Replace hex code in our style element with their correct RGB values. Okay, so blue needs to become pure blue. So nothing in red, nothing in green, max blue. Then red text, let's see. That should be everything in red, nothing in green, nothing in blue. Orchid, I have no idea how you make orchid, so I'm just going to look at the chart they give us, which is 218. It's a bit arbitrary. Arbitrary. Why? It's random. How did they come to that conclusion? Were they just randomly mixing colors? I don't do art. I don't know these things. And sienna is like something of a sunset, like a brown. Yeah, there we go. Use CSS variables to change several elements at once. Oh my god! Is that a freaking... Is that a penguin? Oh, that's a penguin. It's a freaking penguin. This is a highlight right now for me. Freaking penguin. Oh, it just has so much meaning for me. Why is there a penguin here? Oh, brilliant. Okay, so what do we need to do? In the penguin they actually specify penguin. In the penguin class, change the black value to grey. Wait, did I actually draw a penguin from CSS? That's amazing. Holy shit, this entire thing is pure CSS. No ways. That's incredible. That's like a lot of time. It's one thing to be able to draw. Maybe that's actually one way I could actually end up drawing, because I can't draw. I could just use code to draw a picture. That's amazing. Wow. Penguin class should declare the penguin skin variable and assign it to grey. Wait, this variable is what? They didn't even explain this to us. Oh, wait, they are. I'm not reading. CSS variables are a powerful way to change many CSS style properties at once by changing only one value. Yeah. Follow the instructions below to see how changing just 3 values can change the styling of many elements. In the penguin class, change the black value to grey. So the penguin skin. Oh, so that's how you make a variable. Dash dash penguin skin. And then you use dash... Oh, because then instead of... words. Instead of going everywhere where it says black, you literally just change that. Oh, that is so smart. I had no idea that exists. It's bald. What happened to it? Oh, so cute. So make it grey. What am I doing to this poor penguin? Okay. And then the belly should be white. Oh, that's so cute. And the beak should be orange. And now it's a completely different penguin. Cute. I love this, the variable. So we declare variable, what's that, like dash dash name of variable, and then give it a value. Oh, so then it kind of takes it as a placeholder. And then to call it, you do var name. Is that the fallback, I guess? The grey, if it doesn't exist. Because they didn't specify it. Let's test it for ourselves. Penguin top. So if this didn't exist right now, yeah, okay. So the second one is the fallback in case the variable can't load. Smart. We've got to test these things out for ourselves. Create a custom CSS variable. Yay! To create a CSS variable, you just need to give it a name with 2 dashes in front of it and assign it a value like this. This will create a variable named penguin skin and assign it the value of grey. Now you can use a variable elsewhere in your CSS to change the value of other elements to grey. In the penguin class, create a variable named penguin skin. In the where? In the penguin class. Ah, it's over here. Name it penguin skin. Yo, what did I do wrong? Wait. I'm missing something. Shouldn't it be like a color or something? Penguin skin gray. Okay. And then we're going to call the variable next, I guess. After you create your variable, you can assign its value to other CSS properties by referencing the name you gave it. This will change the background of whatever element you're targeting to grey, because that is the value of the penguin skin variable. Note that styles will not be applied unless the variable names are an exact match. Apply the penguin skin variable to the background property of penguin top, bottom, right hand, and left hand classes. Okay, so penguin top. So penguin top needs the background. The background needs to change to variable, the name of the variable, penguin skin. And we're just going to copy paste the rest. So penguin top, penguin bottom, as well as right hand and left hand. There we go. And then if I wanted to, that means, wait, what? Where's the variable? How's it changing it? Where is the variable that, oh, there it is. So then we can just literally change this to like, and make it all red. That's so cool. I love how powerful that is. Cool. Attach a fallback value to a CSS variable. Yes, that's what I was wondering. Ah, so I shouldn't jump the gun. They do explain it, just not in the very same step. When using your variable as a CSS property value, you can attach a fallback value that your browser will revert to if the given variable is invalid. This fallback is not used to increase browser compatibility. It's not. And it will not work on IE browsers. Rather, it is used so that the browser has a color to display if it cannot find your variable. Here's how you do it. This will set background to black if your variable wasn't set, and then the second one... Okay. It looks like there's a problem with the variables supplied to the penguin top and bottom classes. Rather than fix the typo, because we can see that penguin was spelled incorrectly, add a fallback value of black to the background property for penguin top and bottom. Cool. So we're just going to do black over there, and we're just going to do black over there. Sweet. Improve compatibility with browser fallbacks. Yes, the most annoying part. Supporting old, outdated browsers. When working with CSS, you will likely run into browsers being incompatible at some point. Yeah, browser incompatibility. This is why it's important to provide browser fallbacks to avoid potential problems. When your browser passes the CSS of a web page, it ignores any properties that it doesn't recognize or support. So in other words, it can't really read, and the more advanced browsers have just been taught to better read. For example, if you use a CSS variable to assign a background color on a site, Internet Explorer will ignore the background color because it does not support CSS variables. In that case, the browser will use whatever value it has for that property. If it can't find any other value set for that property, it will revert to the default value, which is typically not ideal. This means that if you do not want to provide a browser fallback, it's as easy as providing another more widely supported value immediately before your declaration. That way, an older browser will have something to fall back on, while a new browser will just interpret whatever declarations comes later in the cascade. It looks like a variable is being used to set the background color of the redbox class. Let's improve our browser compatibility by adding another background declaration right before the existing declaration and set its value to red. Interesting. Because it doesn't support it? Now I understand why there's always that duplication. And I mean, yeah, imagine how annoying that is, because then this is how far we've come, because you can use a variable to change the color. But then, for example, IE won't support the variable and you have to manually specify it. But now imagine if you changed red to blue, for example. You'd have to change every instance. So then what's the point of using a variable when you're going to have to change it again? It kind of like keeps you back in the dark, if that makes sense. Or maybe it doesn't, because you can iterate really fast with the variables and then not really put that much emphasis on the older unsupported browsers, I guess. It's better than nothing, huh? Cascading CSS variables. When you create a variable, it becomes available for you to use inside the element in which you create it. It also becomes available within any elements nested within it. This effect is known as cascading. Because of cascading, CSS variables are often defined in the root element. I had no idea. Literally had no idea. You could think of the root element as a container for your entire HTML document in the same way that an HTML element is a container for the body element. By creating your variables in root, they will be available throughout the whole web page. And if you don't, okay. So we need to declare penguin belly pink. But if I didn't specify penguin belly there, and I only did it like here, oh, it only affects the penguin. Because the only part where belly is used is penguin belly there. So it's kind of like a scope. So penguin, let's just try to understand that. So penguin itself, you declared it in there, but it doesn't affect any of the cheeks. Did it affect the cheek though? And even the background. Oh, there you go, because penguin belly. So when I have it there, body is not affected. And if I had it here... Oh, is that what it means by that? That it's just the order in where you place it. So you want to declare it before anything else. Because I could have put it in body, but yeah, root. Okay. Interesting. Change a variable for a specific area. When you create your variables in root, they will set the value of that variable for the whole page. You can then overwrite these variables by setting them again within a specific element. Change the value of penguin belly to white in the penguin class. So then penguin belly becomes white there. This is so cute. It's like, how do they know? Just love penguins, and all of this is about the cute little pengies. Oh, do you like my little penguin? So we gotta change that to white. Okay, we've done that. Are you happy with our test now? A cute little white-bellied penguin with its cute little eyes and rosy cheeks. Use... Hey, it's waving at us! No! What? There's animations now, because I remember CSS does animations, so we literally have a penguin that is waving at us. Can you believe that? The penguin is freaking waving, it's so adorable! Oh, I love it. How did they achieve this? It's like, there it is, keyframes, wave. Transform, rotate, so if I had to like mess around with this and like change this to 210. Oh god! There goes his hand behind his back. It's like he's scratching his back. What have we done? He's like, scratching my back. That is so cool. I'm gonna have so much fun playing around with this at some point, like on projects. It's cool we're learning all of this. Okay, so use a media query to change a variable. CSS variables can simplify the way you use media queries. For instance, when your screen is smaller or larger than your media query breakpoint, i.e. if you have a device and what you need to display doesn't fit, you can change the value of a variable and it will apply its style wherever it is used. In the root selector of the media query, change it so penguin size is redefined and given a value of 200 pixels. So we're going to say penguin size 200 pixels. Okay. Also redefine penguin skin and give it a value of black. Oh, we're going to turn the penguin black. So penguin, what? Penguin skin, was it? Yeah. Then resize the preview to see this change in action. So we got to actually resize our browser now. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Oh my god, look at that. So when it gets smaller, it goes black, and when it's larger, it goes back to its gray. So like, if someone they were on their phones or something, you could literally display something else. That is so cool! Bye, Penguin! Okay, so run tests. Aced it. Okay, so hey, we did it! Can you believe that? We like completely did the CSS section now. We're like aced it, all of it, done. Next up is Applied Visual Design Challenges. Visual design in web development is a broad topic. It combines typography, color theory, graphics, animation, and page layout to help deliver a site's message. The definition of good design is a well-discussed subject, with many books on the theme. At a basic level, most web content provides a user with information. The visual design of the page can influence its presentation and a user's experience. In web development, HTML gives structure and semantic to a page's content, and CSS controls the layout and appearance of it. This section covers some of the basic tools developers use to create their own visual designs. Wow. I think this is a pretty decent introduction for today. We did the basics of HTML, and we also did the basics of CSS, and we've managed to clock in almost 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes. I feel for day one, I mean the challenge is a minimum of an hour a day, and I've exceeded that by 45%, so I'm pretty happy with that. I started pretty late today. I had to get things ready and organize myself and kind of just get myself into just do it. But hopefully I can start earlier tomorrow, and then we can just kind of cruise through this, because yeah, we've done basic HTML, we've done basic CSS, so we have applied visual design, applied accessibility, responsive web design principles, CSS Flexbox, CSS Grid, and then we've got our projects to do, which is really going to challenge us and see what we've learned. So I'm so excited for that. But yeah, I think this is great progress for day one. Thank you to everyone who's joined and been part of the journey thus far. It's going to be exciting to see where we come out at the end of this, and I'm really excited to have you all be a part of that. So until the very next stream tomorrow, I'll see you guys then. I hope you keep well, and that you have fun doing whatever it is. If you're going through a challenging time, just remember, don't give up. It's the whole point of this challenge, I guess, is push yourself. It may feel hard, it may feel like you're not able to do it, you're not able to get through, but it's just a matter of a mind, really. If you sit with it long enough and you sit really hard and you think, okay, what needs to be done, then you'll be able to push through. And if there's any way I can help any of you guys, feel free to let me know in the comments. You're more than welcome to join me on my live streams. You can also respond to me via my Twitter. I really look forward to engaging with you all. So until then, take care, and bye for now.